Hello, Patreon backers. I am Space Quest Historian. I put on strange voice for fun and profit. Mainly fun. Wanted to give you guys a bit of a heads up on the Space Quest 3 VGA project that was quite recently started. In fact, just over the past weekend at the time of this recording, by a fellow Discord denizen, Nina S. and I. You may remember she's posted a bunch of really cool reimaginings of Space Quest 3 shots and why is this not bigger? Can I zoom you fucker? Okay, it's not zooming. Anyway, these are really gorgeous. We'll see them up close and personal in just a tick. Initially, I was just looking at these, and she's been posting these for a while now. I was looking at these and went, maybe I should try and throw them into like AGS and just see what happens. And I did 2 iterations of it. I started trying to use, actually, I put it into just a standard AGS templatey thing, which resembles the original Space Quests and King's Quest, early SCI 1 games. You got walk, look, use, talk to, inventory. And here it is, actually. I just went digging for it in it somehow. I think Nina must have saved a copy of it for posterity. This is Roger gliding around the first screen in his placeholder graphics, and here are the standard AGS icons. Got walk, look, touch, talk, inventory. What inventory do I have? Save, load, exit, and help, which just brings up the options menu for some reason. And these are the standard AGS icons, and they look sort of reminiscent to the Sierra icons, except they don't have an outline and they're slightly cruder. So this is the this was the very first thing that I showed Nina, and I went in and I copied as much of the written text from the original as I could. So the entire room is clickable, but you can't actually go anywhere, and there are no extra icons up here, which we'll get to in just a tick. But back to the show. But after I finished up I think the first, no, it was just the first room actually, I went, no, wait, I want to do this in the style that with the interface that I've been using for my Adventure Jam games, because it is a lot more similar to using a parser, which I quite like, because it's the one where you can define, let's just open up AGS here. It's the one where you can define X amounts of verbs for any given object or hotspot. So if we go into the starting room here, for instance, this is a scrolling room, so let's just zoom in a bit here and check out all the hotspots. For instance, we've got the escape pod here, and how this works, how the template works, is instead of, if you've ever used AGS before, you go into here, then you've got interact and look and pick up for some reason, talk to hotspot and use inventory, and you can define all of these. This template works differently. You just define the verbs that you want to use for this particular hotspot under properties. So I click here and I can type in look and climb. These are the 2 hotspots that currently work for the escape pod. So either you can look at it or you can climb it. And I went in here and I defined in the script, crikey, here we go. Pod interacts, face the location of the pod, so Roger turns in the right direction. MV action look, these are custom scripty things, but basically if the action is look, then you display this shit, which I copied directly from the game, and this, if the verb was climb, then display this one, and this is how it works in game. There we go. Okay, so this is, and by the way, this template was coded for me by Ben S. Calico Riviere on Twitter, and he basically made it to my specifications, which is just mind-boggling to me, and I've used it on a number of games. I was going to use, he originally made it for the Space Quest Historian adventure game, which still exists, halfway done kind of thing. But I've been using it for Adventure Jam games in the meantime. So Kitty Quest and Ramp It Up used it, and no, I think those are the 2. And then I've tried using it with this one. So a good thing about this one is that it has hover text and it has a smooth scrolling plugin, so the screen scrolls smoothly. No, there's no walking animation on Roger in this version, because we didn't, or I didn't get very far with this one. Poking at the escape pod brings up these two verbs, or what they're called. So look at, this is the escape pod which safely whisked you away from Bull Hospital, blah blah blah. Went online and found the appropriate Sierra style fonts, so they look a bit more, but this is still the standard AGS text box, so the margin, you know, the text, the distance of the text from the box to the actual text is not all that it's supposed to be. And as you'll notice, you're probably wondering when I was going to get around to doing this, there's a little look around button at the bottom of the screen, and that gives you the standard just look around message. Because when I did the first template with the standard Sierra icon bar and all of that, it was basically the entire screen was covered in hotspots, because in the old style SCI games, if you looked at something in the background, that triggered the general look description. Also, there are a ton of messages in Space Quest 3 for things like floors and ceilings. However, in this template, once you click on an actual hotspot, like the tunnel here for instance, that brings up this menu-y thing. If the floor was a hotspot, you see, then it would constantly be bringing up that dialog box and like what you want to do with it. And the same with, you know, the backgrounds and the walls and shit. So my workaround for that was to put in a look around button. That just basically gives you the standard description, and that's going to be on all of the screens. What I did with this version was actually code up an awful lot of it, because I thought that Nina would go for this one. I thought this was going to be her jam, because the interface here with the you know, the pop-up boxes and such is the closest marriage you can get between point and click and parser, in my opinion at least. Because if I click the hand icon on this giant head, you know, the standard Sierra hand icon, what is it going to do? The game is going to assume something. It's going to assume that I want to climb it, or I want to touch it, or I want to fondle it, and maybe caress it, and maybe take it out for dinner. I don't know. But in this one, we can accurately define what's going to happen. It's going to be look or climb. That's what's going to happen. And I even coded it up as far as you can get down here, and you can place the ladder. Yeah, the inventory is not the best looking, but you can place the ladder on the mallard and actually get inside the mallard, and that's kind of where it ends. And I don't think can I climb? The ship is too slick. Oh, am I just supposed to... Oh, I'm supposed to climb the ladder, of course. Rip! Hey, he actually did it. Bit fast. There was an earlier version where he sort of phased behind the ladder. There's a Z index, or Z index thing there. Also, he can't die, so if I just click anywhere, he's just gonna go and have fun. There are two. Of course, you can't open the hatch if you're at Le Bouton. It just basically slides down it. There's going to be a climbing animation, I'm sure. If I try to open the hatch from down here, no, it can't do that from down here. But with the ladder here, up here we go. Open that boy up, and you move into position. Boom! Here we go, and the lights flicker on and everything. And this is as far as I got. That was about, I don't know, maybe an evening's worth of dicking around with stuff. After Nina had a play with this, she said that she appreciates the interface, and she can certainly see the benefits to it. However, she would rather use the standard Sierra icons, because that's more her jam. And I see that when I climb back out of the eye, Roger gets stuck on a place where he can't move any. So this is as good an excuse as any to quit the fucking thing and get into the thing that we've been working on from then on. Because now I had two different versions. I had the original Sierra style interface one, and I have the multi-verby thing that you just saw. But it's her graphics, and it's her remake, basically. I just wanted to program it and write all the stupid dumb messages, and I wasn't really married to the idea of using the multi-verb thing. I could just as easily go for the icon bar, because I have nostalgic feelings for that thing too. So we ended up going with this one. I've added a bit more stuff to this one since, now I'm working on this version. So the text boxes they are actually screenshotted from Space Quest 3. However, they are just a black thing with a slightly bit more of a shadow to it. I've got the opening text box as you saw, and we've got a walking animation now. Da, 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 da. He can actually walk. Look at him go. And he doesn't have a walking animation for up and down yet. Anyway, you saw the other two screens, but in this version I've also got, it's got the original SQ3 weight cursor, and we've also got the junkyard here. Again, there's a lot of walk behinds and a lot of, because you have to meticulously paint in all the stuff that Roger can walk behind. And we can't actually really, because the next screen, once you get up the conveyor belt, oh yeah, did you see that? It's the original Sierra icon bar. I actually went in and took pictures. These are the Space Quest 1 VGA icons actually, but they behave as you would imagine. I've even got smell and taste in there. That's not in standard AGS, but I somehow figured out, well, with some patient Googling, really, figured out how to get smell and taste in there, so you can smell keep your sniffer to yourself and keep your sniffer. They're random messages. It's just picking the same fucking message each time. Okay, your nose did not enjoy that one bit. You're not sure what smells worse, that or your uniform. Ew, were you seriously gonna put your tongue? By the way, these are just the default messages. That means that I haven't actually defined hotspots for this giant cogwheel yet. That seems to have no remarkable features. Because one thing I figured out with doing this was how to make default messages in AGS. For some reason, that's never dawned on me before that that I should put that in. Or maybe it has, but I was just like, it's too much work and I'm hungry and what's for dinner? So I never did. But in this game, I have, which is also a bit weird because I have a lot of messages in the game. I'm basically going full Josh Mandel on this one. If we go in and have a look at, let's say, the big junkyard, actually. Let's take a look at that thing. Let me just zoom in for a bit. If I go and enable hotspots, you'll see that everything I'm clicking on is defined as a hotspot. There is nothing in this room that is not a hotspot. Granted, a lot of this shit is gray, and that's because it's unselected, but as you can see, these are all the things you can click on in the room, and they all have individual messages for each and every icon known to man. So let's get back in. Yeah, let's just go up here. You grab onto the conveyor and are somehow magically transported or teleported to a different room than where you were supposed to go, and that's because the next room with the conveyor where you're supposed to stand and jump unless you fall into the shredder, Nina has not drawn those yet. So we're now magically transported to this area where I see the droid has gotten a little away from himself. He's supposed to be standing over on the platform here, and he also sort of is. However, he's supposed to have a different Z index. He's supposed to be pushed a bit in the background, and maybe I should scale him down a bit. Let's not have any more fun with Mr. Robot up here. The one thing I wanted to show you is that we've actually got deaths in this game as well. And now, one thing I need to mention is all of this stuff, all the stuff I've done with the inventory, which looks slightly like the original Space Quest. There's a little wayward pixel down here, and I hate that, but I've got that one. I've got the standard options menu, which again has a little fault in it, that if you move the slider all the way down, that's a horrible little... Yeah, I'll fix it. See, all of this work will soon be thrown out, because Nina wants to draw her own icons, and her own option screen, and her own inventory, and all of that shit. So this is basically just here to make, to make me feel happy, I guess. So anyway, the same goes for the death screens, which I will show you now. Of course, there's no animation when Roger touches this. The only animation we have in the game so far is him moving left and moving right, and I'm about to go and replace those with the new ones that Nina has made. So when I touch this thing, nothing will happen. You'll just see the death messages. So here we go, and yow! It's obvious that the metal was sharper than you. The resulting laceration turns you into a living fountain, at least for a few moments. Unfortunately for you, this show was your finale. Good luck in the afterlife. And you've got your standard Space Questy death screen. There's supposed to be an image here, but this is code-wise, this is just the same text box displayed every time you die, only it has a sort of a headline and this message here, and none of the art for the deaths has been drawn. And yes, I could have screenshotted it from the original game, put it in as a placeholder, but I did not. So that is kind of it. So when I hit quit, it's going to go, thank you for playing Space Quest 3 VGA. We're sorry it had to be this way. Do come back soon. This means that I now get to fulfill one of my dreams, which is to extensively write a Space Quest game. I'm not touching any of the original descriptions. As you notice, the death message for the, touching the sheet metal, that's all original. Copied straight off the original game, actually. I had the game running in ScumVM on one screen, and I got AGS running on another screen, and I just sit there in the script and basically type it off the game. So that's what we're doing. And we are up to the droid room. I should fix this fucking thing. That needs to have a walk behind. There we go. That should technically put him behind here. Yeah, well, he's technically standing behind the rail now. He's sort of fused into the to the computer he's supposed to be tending. Oh well, we'll make him work at some point. I just wanted to show you one last thing. Well, I wouldn't say I'm proud of it, but I'm into it, which is that I've also added the death on this screen that you saw earlier. I'm going to turn the speed down for this one, because it is really spectacular. Again, no animation has been drawn, but if you walk off the edge of the screen here, oh gosh. So, yeah, fun with that. Sorry, and thank you, and not sorry. Anyway, so that's what we're working. It's kind of a pet project because I've also got my own game. There is no one to replace, which I've now finished coding most of the bare bones story of it. So now we're going to go in and flesh it out and maybe put in some playable bits in it. And Awesome Monster's going to start drawing some graphics for that, and John's going to start doing some music for it. Very excited about that one. So this is sort of a pet project on the side, this whole Space Quest 3 thing. It'll basically get worked on when either of us, has the time. When Nina has time to draw the graphics, and when I have time to sort of sit down and write all this stuff out. The good thing is that it doesn't take long to put in a scene like this. All it takes is, you import Nina's beautiful graphics, and then you just sort of sketch hotspots on top of it. And then you put in stuff like when he gets over here, you just move the character over here, and then try and teleport to the next room, off you fucking go. But anyway, I will keep you updated. There will be more dev videos for you Patreon supporters, exclusively. Yes, I will also be making a video on the other game that I am working on. Sprite really gets to you, doesn't it? I can tell my voice is going, so I'm going to stop this recording now and just say cheerio, thanks for all your support. I'll see you around the Chrono Stream.